Dear students, welcome to today's English class. In our last English class, we have learned about a new unit, a truly beautiful mind. In this unit, we had seen about Albert Einstein. We were able to complete only the first part of the unit. Today, we are going to see the rest of the unit. So, once again, I welcome all of you to today's English class. We shall go to paragraph 10 of our unit. In the paragraph 10, while Einstein was solving the most difficult problems in physics, his private life was unraveling. Albert had wanted to marry Mileva right after finishing his studies, but his mother was against it. She thought Mileva, who was 3 years older than her son, was too old for him. She was also bothered by Mileva's intelligence. "She is a book like you," his mother said. Einstein put the wedding off. Unraveling means starting to fail. Albert Einstein was successful in solving complicated problems in physics, but his personal life was not so successful. His personal life got to be so complicated. Albert Einstein wanted to marry Mileva soon after he finished his studies, but his mother was against this. Mother thought that Mileva marrying, who was 3 years elder to Albert Einstein, was very old for him. Albert's mother felt Mileva was very intelligent to be a wife, and she told Einstein that Mileva was also like a book and was similar to him. As his mother was against this marriage, Albert dropped the idea of marrying Mileva soon after his studies. The pair finally married in January 1903 and had 2 sons. But a few years later, the marriage faltered. Mileva, meanwhile, was losing her intellectual ambition and becoming an unhappy housewife. After years of constant fighting, the couple finally divorced in 1919. Einstein married his cousin Elsa the same year. Faltered, became weak. Albert Einstein wanted to marry Mileva Marek soon after he finished his studies. Against the will of his mother, Albert Einstein married Mileva Marek in the year 1903 and they had 2 sons. Their married life lasted for 16 years. In the year 1919, after prolonged fighting, both of them separated. Then Albert Einstein married his cousin Elsa. Einstein's new personal chapter coincided with his rise to world fame. In 1915, he had published his general theory of relativity, which provided a new interpretation of gravity. An eclipse of the sun in 1919 brought proof that it was accurate. Einstein had correctly calculated in advance the extent to which the light from fixed stars would be deflected through the sun's gravitational field. The newspapers proclaimed his work as a scientific revolution. Deflected means changed direction because it hit something. At the time Einstein married Elsa, another thing coincided. It was Einstein's rise to the world fame. Einstein became world famous. Everyone acknowledged him as a great scientist. In the year 1915, he published one more paper which was based on general theory of relativity, which gave a new interpretation to gravity. In the year 1919, there was a solar eclipse which proved that Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity was correct. Albert Einstein had calculated in the year 1915 that in the year 1919 there would be a solar eclipse. Due to it, the apparent position of the stars would change to some extent. His calculation was accurate, so it was announced that Albert Einstein's work was a scientific revolution. He was praised by all the newspapers. Einstein received the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. He was showered with honors and invitations from all over the world, and lauded by the press. The Nobel Prize was based on the will of the famous Swedish scientist Albert Nobel. It was established in 1895, and the first Nobel Prize was given in the year 1901. Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics in the year 1921. He was invited and honored at various places all over the world. When Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933, Einstein emigrated to the United States. 5 years later, the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin had American physicists in uproar. Many of them had fled from fascism, just as Einstein had, and now they were afraid the Nazis could build and use the atomic bomb. In an uproar means very upset. Emigrated means leave one's own country in order to settle permanently in another. In 1933, when Germany came under the power of Nazis, at that time Einstein left Germany and shifted to United States of America forever. After 5 years, the Germans discovered the process of nuclear fission, the process through which nuclear bombs or atomic bombs are made. This process was prepared in Berlin. Berlin is the capital of Germany. Due to this, all the physicists in America were upset as they feared misuse of the technology. There were many scientists who escaped to America because of fascism. Fascism was a dictatorial concept which was started in Europe from Italy by the rule of Benito Mussolini. Mussolini is from Italy, whereas Adolf Hitler is from Germany. Both of them followed fascist ideas. All the scientists were afraid that the Nazi could misuse the atomic bomb. At the urging of a colleague, Einstein wrote a letter to the American President, Franklin D. Roosevelt, on 2nd August 1939, in which he warned a single bomb of this type exploded in a pot might be very well destroy the whole pot together with some of the surrounding territory. His words did not fail to have an effect. The Americans developed the atomic bomb in a secret project of their own and dropped it on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. Albert Einstein was requested by a colleague, and so he wrote a letter to the President of America. The then American President was Franklin D. Roosevelt. On 2nd August 1939, Albert Einstein wrote this letter. He warned him that The atomic bomb, which was developed by Germany, was very powerful. If one of these bombs exploded on any port or any place, it would not only destroy the area, but also it would destroy the surrounding area too. This shows Einstein's humanitarian quality. He wanted good for the people. He wanted peace in the world. That is why he wrote his concern to the President of America and warned him. Because something should be done to stop the Germans. Albert Einstein's letter had an impact on Franklin D. Roosevelt, the President of America. The Americans developed the atomic bomb secretly and dropped it on two cities of Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, on August 6th and August 9th, if I am correct. The Germans had just developed the atomic bomb. They did not use it on any country. Even before that, Americans did. Einstein was deeply shaken by the extent of the destruction. This time he wrote a public missive to the United Nations. In it, he proposed the formation of a world government. Unlike the letter to Roosevelt, this one made no impact. But over the next decade, Einstein got ever more involved in politics, agitating for an end to the arms build-ups and using his popularity to campaign for peace and democracy. Missive means a letter, especially long and official. The atomic bombs dropped by America in Japan caused a lot of destruction in Japan, and Einstein was shaken. He was very sad. He wrote an official letter to the United Nations. Albert Einstein proposed to form a world government, but this letter did not bear any fruit, unlike the previous letter he wrote to American president. For another 10 years, Albert Einstein was involved in world peace. He was involved in politics, and his agenda was to stop the countries involved in collecting arms and developing weapons. He campaigned for world peace and democracy. His aim was world peace and freedom of people. When Einstein died in 1955 at the age of 76, he was celebrated as a visionary and world citizen as much as a scientific genius. Visionary means a person who can think about the future in an original and intelligent way. Einstein was able to foresee the future. When he died in 1955 at the age of 76, the world accepted him as a visionary. He was a world citizen and a scientific genius. He spent his later days in politics advocating world peace and democracy. Dear students, last 2 English classes, we were learning about a genius, a world citizen, one of the greatest men in 20th century, Albert Einstein. You should get inspiration from this unit to read and to know about more people of this sort. You should read this unit. You should try to find out more informations about the life of Albert Einstein. There are great people on this earth. You should have time to read their biographies. About our English classes and learning activities, You should maintain an English notebook. Once in a week, you can take the photograph of your English notebook and send to me. I hope you all are writing cursive writing book. Every week, you have to take the photo of your cursive writing book and send to me. You can make use of Google Classroom or even WhatsApp or a parent eye to send photographs to me. Until we meet in the next English class, you may take care. Thank you.